Hi, folks. We're always glad to be with you. You got it at bangthebook.com. Brian Blessing and Kenny White. Big college football game, Pac-12. Well, get the feet moving, too. Oregon does it all.
Yeah.
UCLA and Oregon. One of the biggest movers of the week, Kenny. We saw this game, the total 70.5, which Oregon can always threaten by themselves. But 17.5, and we saw a lot of steam on this game early in the week, all the way up to 22.5. Is it done climbing?
You know, this could have been a little bit of a false move. I think you may see this come back down. It could go up. Yeah, everybody loves Oregon. They know they cover, but UCLA, I think, is vastly improved. Yeah, they are coming off a loss, their first spread loss as well, ATS. Both teams didn't cover last week.
5-1 against the spread and straight up, as Kenny mentioned. But UCLA, 4-2 to the under, and now we take Hundley's act on the road. That was a tough matchup. That's a very physical, tough defense Stanford brings to the table. But we talk about Hundley. The problem was in that game, the Bruins could never run the football. And if you're going to try to hang around with Oregon, you have to run the football and somehow find a way to shorten the game.
Well, that's another problem for UCLA. Jordan James was out last week. The last couple weeks, he is doubtful for this week with the ankle injury. He is their number one back. Not a huge drop-off. You would think Perkins is going to be able to run the football and Jones, but they really haven't, I don't think, made enough of an effort to get that ground game going. They're going to need to against Oregon's defense. Wear Oregon out a little bit and keep Mariota on the sideline.
Well, we know Oregon's probably 3 or 4 deep at running back, but the bad news for the Bruins, the big man is back.
Yeah, well, their third leading rusher now. Amazing. DeAnthony Thomas comes back now. Tyner and Marshall have been tremendous in his place, but now you got the return man. Not sure if he'll return kicks this week in his first week back, but it's an upgrade for Oregon, at least a point.
Tell the folks what you told me. I almost fell over when you told me this, and that takes a lot of inertia to knock me over. Mariota, no turnovers this entire season.
Well, you know what? I didn't go back to look last week to see if he fumbled, but going into last week, he had no turnovers. He still has no INTs. So if he didn't fumble last week, he has no turnovers, and he's touched the ball 600 times in the last the start this season. Amazing, this kid, what he can do with the football.
And we know the clock is ticking in Oregon on the big showdown with Stanford. Oregon's got to take care of whoever's in front of them, but they are just an offensive machine.
Well, I know one thing, that Oregon is not going to overlook UCLA. Even though they've beaten them by an average of 21 points the last 4 times they played, they did not play last year. So Jim Mora has not gotten a chance to coach his kids up against the Ducks. Oregon, the last time they played, they were a 31.5-point favorite over UCLA, won 49-31. But you know what? This team does use a lot of backups when they do get the lead.
You mentioned it earlier in the video. The bubble burst angle, team loses that first game. We've seen adverse reactions. I think it's the rule, not the exception. And we did say last week, we thought Stanford would be the exception to the rule. But here's UCLA off that first loss. For whatever reason, Kenny, it's been a money-making angle in this town for a lot of years. We've talked about it almost, going on 8-9 years now. There's just something about losing that first game this deep into a season that the reaction's poor.
Now, I can go all the way back to Houston and David Klingler when they were scoring hundreds of points and they thought they were going to win the national title. They lose. The next week they went out and then got destroyed and shut out, I think, as a big favorite as well. So, it's all in every team's a little different. Oregon, if they lost a game, they'd still know they'd have a shot. UCLA loses last week. They still know they have a shot. LSU did earlier. They lost, but they had a shot. Georgia, same way. They lost early. They still knew they had a shot. But once they lost their second game, they lost the next week to Vandy.
Oh, do we do it all for you here at bangthebook.com? Kenny White brings up a David Klingler reference.
Amazing. You can go back that
Was
far.
that the circadian clock you turned back?
No, that's 3 hours East Coast, West Coast. Nothing to do with this game. They're both on the West Coast.
All right, he's Kenny White. I'm Brian Blessing. Thanks for joining us right here at bangthebook.com.